Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, here we are again, more Matchbox March, and we're on episode 4 today. I promised you I was going to show you the Harrier, and I think that was actually my very first Matchbox kit. I think I made that first and I did the Spitfire second. We've also got here Messerschmitt 109 and the Messerschmitt 262. Just two of the most amazing artworks from Roy Huxley. Very, very impressive stuff indeed. Well, it's got some great armour. We've got the Puma. I've got a finished Puma. I've got a finished Chaffee. We've also got the Vespi, not finished, and the Panther, not finished. But I thought I'd just give you a bit of a flavour of it all, really. So, yes, it looks quite impressive, but to actually show them to you, I'm going to have to reorganise them a little bit, because otherwise they're going to be in the way of the focus. So, all in good time, all in good time. Now, whether we get to see them all today is debatable, but I think we'll concentrate on these three. Maybe see the two in episode 5, the 4 I should say, episode 5. I think this is going to end up being 10 episodes, because to show them to you in any meaningful and interesting way, really, it does take a bit of time. Just to show the parts, the instructions and the boxes and all the rest of it. And there are just a lot of them, you know. And I'm not going to show you every single one I've got, but I'm trying to focus on the ones I think people remember well and that, you know, that are popular. So, let's start with the Harrier, because that's where I sort of finished episode 3. So I'm going to move the Chaffee just over there for a second. The Puma, yes, a bit tricky. Because we've got some figures here, and whenever I try to pick them up, there we go, they always fall over. So, I tell you what, because of that, I think I'll do the Puma first, and we'll come back to the Harrier if that's okay. It would just be simpler to do that. So, the Puma then. Really, another one of these absolutely characterful models, and one of the things that makes this so characterful, I think, is the fact that the diorama has got some little bits extra, including some figures. And I don't know why, I've actually got over here, I've just realised I've actually got the actual figures that are in this kit on a bit of sprue. I think Jason at Model Kit Stuff sent me this. He actually very kindly donated the street base, which was missing from my kit. Somebody sold me on eBay with half of it missing. Cheeky devils. I wonder eBay have clamped down on people, but unfortunately they've clamped down on good people, good sellers like me as well. But anyway, there we go. Here we go. So here's your whoops. Let me just, we'll just sort that background problem with my hand. There we go. So there's the figures. So it comes with 1, 2, 3. I thought there was a 4th one. Maybe I've stolen. I think there's 3. I think this is correct. And then the one I've got, the extra one here, the grenadier, the grenade thrower, is quite good. And we've got the regular guys that you've just seen. We've got the command. Well, he's the gunner, I think, really, the spotter, and he's got his binoculars out and he's calling fire down on some target in the distance. But let me show you the actual. Move that to the side. Let me show you the actual diorama as is, and you can make your own mind up. So here we go. Here's the street scene with the Puma armoured car on it and the bent lamppost. I'm trying to remember if that lamppost actually comes from this kit or another. Yeah, it does come from this kit. I've got a feeling that with the extra lamppost, that was one that I did have, and I think I added it to my Yagged Panther, which we might see at a later date. But anyway, here we go. So there we go. Just tilt my turret the other way. I think it makes it easy to see. There we are. There we are. How's that? They just will not stand up, these guys. They do it to me every single time. Just lost one of them as well. Where's he gone? There he is. Right, we'll look at it without the men, just for the sake of, because my hands are not steady enough to not have at least one of them falling over. But isn't it a nice diorama, that? So you've got this this bit of street when it's had a shell hole in the street. You can see the water main, I think it is, maybe the electric main underneath, just passing through there. You've got the grid, street grid as well, which is nice. And as I say, you've got your street lamp there that's been banged into, possibly by this armoured car. Some careless driving perhaps. It's nice, isn't it? I mean, that's probably one of the best dioramas they've done. I know everybody seems to like this kit that's done it. Very, very popular item indeed. Always looks good. What's not to like, you know? So I'm going to put the men back here. I'm going to put them down so they don't have any more falling off. Let's put them there at the side. And then I will just come back a little bit with my camera. She just doesn't want to stand, does he? Just doesn't. There we go. There's the commander, the officer at the front. And the machine gunner is there. It's supposed to be a scene from Arnhem. So let's have a look at the actual kit. Here we go. So this is PK76, so it's the 7th in the series, and it says on the front of it, Puma armoured cars of the 9th SS Panzer Division, oh dear, closing on the Allied paratroops during the Battle for Arnhem, 24th of September 1944. And they've actually got some guys here who are, if you look very carefully, some chaps are surrendering, it seems. Can we see that? Yeah, we've got some guys with their hands up. Now, whether they are British or civilians, I don't know. But they appear to be in pale blue uniforms, so I can't see that those are British. They must be civilians or something. A bit strange. All in all, a very violent scene. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that the later iterations of this kit, slightly annoyingly, and this is a theme, of course, that Roy Huxley talked about before his passing recently, in his wonderful book, I think they call it The Magic of Matchbox Art. And let me prove to you what he was saying, because he was saying that they made him paint out the violence. There's one of these silly ones where they made him paint out the violence. Here's the later iteration of the box art. Isn't this horrible by comparison? Just look at that. Isn't it ridiculous? So there's now nothing happening at all. It's almost like it's about to drive off a cliff or something. And there's no figures in the scene or anything else. And let's put them together and you decide which you think is the better one. Isn't that stupid? You know, he's created a complete work of art there. Complete with the officer looking out at the top, which we don't actually have. That's something that I wonder if that was intended to be a bit like the Humber armoured car. I wonder if it was intended to be a figure sitting out the top. That never happened. But anyway, we lose everything. All animation is gone. Suddenly it just looks like a cardboard cutout, really, doesn't it, almost? Aren't they ridiculous? You know, and I know that Roy Cross and Roy Huxley were both annoyed when they had to sort of start doing this and de-violencing everything. So it's a weapon of war at the end of the day. It's of historical interest to modellers. Why would you do that? It's so frustrating for him, especially when he's created such a beautiful piece of art. Anyway, we move on. On the side, true to their form, Matchbox have got adverts for their other products in the range. So in this case we've got the Humber armoured car and the Mark IV Panzer and the Panther and the Sherman Firefly. Quite a nice range. On the other side we have got our basically the art showing the other option, which is, does it say? Does it actually give you East Germany, February 45? Oh no, hang on a second. This is a bit, I think I've said this once before, a bit confusing because it doesn't mention Arnhem in the schemes. So it says East Germany, February 45, or Caen, which would be, I think this would be the Caen scheme for northern France, for Normandy, June 1944. So there's no mention of Arnhem anywhere here. Only it mentions the the Normandy campaign, D-Day campaign, or the end of the war. February 45 on East Germany. How very odd! Completely at odds again with the artist and the representation. Anyway, that's what your street scene will look like. It's in two tones of grey, light grey and dark grey, basically, your plastic. So let's have a look at this one. This is an original 1973 genuine article. It's not one of the later iterations that, like I've just shown you. Hence the original artwork. There you go, 1973 Lesney. The genuine, the real McCoy, as I would put it. What's not to like? Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. This is what we want. The original art, the original. We'll come to this later, I know, but we have the same thing here with the Messerschmitt 262. they had to devalance that later, and that just looked absolutely ridiculous, because that was one of the best bits of art where they were attacking the USAF, sorry, the 8th Air Force I should say, on the streams over Germany. Be careful, it doesn't want to come out. Actually, a bit awkward is that? Oh, it's been awkward actually. Bear with me, a slight technical problem. It doesn't want to come out. It's got a bag, so let's put it in the bag kindly. So let's put that over there. Another one of these bag ones, which is cool. Suspiciously similar bag this is to the one that we saw. What was the other kit? What was the other kit? Was it the Firefly? Can't remember. Must be the same owner. So here we go. I'll zoom you in. Quick look at the instructions first. Some decals that don't look too bad actually. They look like they might be usable. These, they've still got the film on as well, so that's very good. Especially for an original 73 edition, yeah. There we are. There's your decals. Basically just numbers and German crosses, effectively. And then we have got, what's going on there? Then we've got our 3 men. I told you about the sprue. I showed you the sprue. There are the guys on the sprue. So this is what your street scene should look like, not like the one I had. Something that's interesting though, look at this. Look at this closely. It says Matchbox 1974. So it looks to me as though they'd done the artwork before the actual kit was ready. And it's actually stamped on the back with 1974, which is quite interesting. Very interesting, in fact. There is your, that's basically your street, roadway of the street, complete with the grid. Here we've got our wheels, tyres I should say, the tyres. 6 wheels, sorry, 8 wheels, big pun, and a spare, so 9 in total. And then here we've got the pavement, which has also got a big chunk out of it here, a bit blasted away where there's been a shell hit by the look of it, or a bomb hit. And you've got your fender, front fender, and we've got a couple of fuel cans here. Yeah, that's it really. I mean, a really nice piece, to be honest. On the other side, we have got our bent lamppost, as you can see on the left. You've got your top of your major hull, top surface of the hull, top deck, and then you've got your lower sort of hull. It's like a V shape, obviously a bit, a bit like a modern vehicle to deflect explosions up away from the crew cabin inside. I'm going to have to move this, aren't I, because it's definitely causing me some problems, I'm afraid. To come over here. You're going to have to move, guys. You're going to have to move. There we go. That's better. Getting focus again now. Then we've got our, that's our gun. I think it's a 35mm cannon on these, wasn't it? This one. And then of course you've got all your road wheels. And the actual turret, which is very small. Look at it. It's tiny, isn't it? It's not even as big as my finger. And then you've got your, the side, side skirt stroke, pontoon stroke, sort of fenders, with some armour plate in there, and of course it has these access cubby storage areas, storage boxes built into the side basically. And then you've got your suspension here, which is quite nice. So it's a little bit race car like, isn't it? It's like a double wishbone thing, wishbone suspension. That's quite cool. Quite impressed. And you've got leaf springs. Oh, that's not quite so impressive. So the damping is leaf springs, right, which will be a bit bouncy, but not untypical for military vehicles like this. You've got the shroud around the mantlet here for the gun, and then you've got your hatches here and here. Stowage box there. Another stowage box at the back. Yeah, that's really nice, isn't it? We know it's a lovely little kit. I mean, this really is, it's vying with the Humber in my eyes to be to be, you know, the favourite one really, because it's very impressive. Anyway, I've got the full purple original instructions here from 73-74. Quite sure about that now, are we? It says the 234-2 armoured car was introduced in 1943, codenamed the Puma. It was a development of the earlier German armoured car, specifically adapted for combat in tropical climates. The Puma was the most heavily armoured car produced by the Germans, having it's 50. It's 50mm, not 35mm, 50mm cannon, and a 7.92 machine gun, which is basically MG34, I think, isn't it? The cross-country performance was excellent with a top speed of 53 miles per hour, making this a very formidable fighting machine. 53 miles an hour, that is fast for an armoured fighting vehicle, you know. Anyway, let's have a look at what we got. So we have our little paint guide here. Whoops. Paint guide here. Including the paint guide for the figures, which is cool. You've got your main decals guide, because there's a few decals, aren't there, on this one? Definitely needs a guide. And then, of course, you've got your main instructions. So you're building your gun breech, and then you're going to build the whole of the turret. That's where it starts, interestingly. Completely turret hatches for the gunner and the commander. Then we've got the turret coming down onto the top of the top deck of the hull. And then you've got the chassis and lower hull, and your side fenders going on. You've got your wheels with your suspension. It's even got universal joints on it. It's quite cool, that. I like the way they moulded it. It's quite clever. Wheels and tyres going in there, and then all those being fitted in with the leaf springs here. Then we're going to... it's a strange way they've done the order here. It seems to be different every time. It's very odd. You're going up and down, and then up, round, and then you finish going back inboard to number 7. That's very odd. Anyway, you're going to put your stowage boxes on the side, and your tools, and your jerry cans, and your lights, and your front fender, and of course your spare wheel and tyre at the back, and the other tools on the other side. And then finally, rather small as usual for some reason, this diorama scene, despite being the biggest part of the kit, the diorama scene there, you put your two sides of the pavement, either side of the roadway, and your bent street lamp. It's had a bit of a bash going in there as well. Isn't that a nice kit though? Isn't that a nice kit? It's very, in my heart, it's almost like the Humber. Still prefer the Humber because it's so cute and dinky. But yeah, I do like this. I do like this. I always did. And I've built it at least 3 times, I think, over the years. Don't ask me what happened to the old ones. Probably ends up in the bin, you know, in me. Trouble is, when you're that age, you don't necessarily appreciate, you know, these things, and you get to an age where you become a teenager and you're not so interested in them, and you don't lose the interest. You just get your time and interests elsewhere, shall we say? Music, girls, jobs, all that rubbish, you know, and you forget about these simple pleasures, you know, from something like that. 25-30 pence you'd have paid for it back in the day. Absolutely superb. And look at the lovely kit that it makes up into. So that's the Puma. I'm going to move it out of the way just for its own safety. I hope you enjoyed seeing the finished version. Whoops, you don't want to stand up despite having a base. So that's the Puma done. Now let's talk about the Harrier. So we did see this briefly when I gave you a bit of a heads up at the end of the last show. Here it is. So this is the Harrier GR1. It says Mark 1 Harrier, but it's a GR1 Harrier basically. This is the first time I built this about 10-12 years ago. This is the first time I've ever actually painted it, because I think previously they were never painted. And I had this in my cabinet unpainted for about 2 years. I painted it later with a wraparound scheme, the typical RAF wraparound scheme. It's got no Aiden. The only thing that's a downside of this kit, the Matchbox one comes with no Aiden gun pods underneath. Which is a bit of a shame, but it's on its stand, as you can see, and it's a really nice little Harrier. Actually, I like it. I can actually see why I've sprayed it and actually missed. I can just see. Can you make this out? Showing up my faults and failures. Look, Just behind that nozzle, just behind and above the nozzle, you can just make out the brown colour of the original kit. Oops! Oopsie poopsies, done it again. Fail. But it's a nice kit, as you can see. It's a really nice Harrier. So, put that there. Oops, put that there rather. And we will have a look at... I should have done it the other way around so you can see the name. There we go, Harrier. There we go. So let's have a look at the actual Harrier kit itself. And this has got... I think this is not Roy Huxley. I think it's Doug Post again, this one. And it says, Harrier, the world's first operational vertical short takeoff and landing strike aircraft of the RAF No. 3 Squadron, rises from a West German forest dispersal hut near Wildenrath in 1972. There you go. So that is actually the year that Matchbox was set up. So this is, they're just come into service and been in service for a couple of years. Well, 3 years, I think. On the side you get an advert for the McCoy MiG-21, Hellcat, the Red Arrows, Fallen Nat, and the Mark 3C Mirage, very important. Look, have a look at this artwork. This is what I spoke of recently. Mirage with drop tanks, which weren't in the kit. And ultimately got dropped from the artwork later. But anyway, I digress. On the other side, we've got this rather strange mixture of colours here. Very, very odd choices were made here. For some reason we've got dog dirt brown and chocolate brown. Don't ask me why. This is kit's PK16, so this is actually the 16th kit. The initial tranche of kits was, I think, the first 20. Am I right in thinking that the MiG was PK19? Was it 19? I think the MiG-21 might have been the final one, actually. No, I'm wrong. The final one, 20, was the Mirage. And then there was a break, and then they did the orange range, and then they brought some more out a year later. That's why they were dated. Some of those were dated 74. But here we have... I should have shown you that really in the wider shot, shouldn't I? So here we have an original 1973. This isn't like New Year's 73. An original version of the boxing with a lift top box. Okay. And you can see here just how nice these lift top boxes are. Why I like them so much? Well, have a look at this. Here's a good reason. So you get some of the details and instructions around the actual skirt of the box. So it tells you all about, on this side it tells you all about the Matchbox aircraft stand. And at the end you get advice, the small parts paint guide. Down the other side is the international stuff saying be careful with glue, etc. And then if you have the other option, then you can, because the other option is the American version, I forgot to explain that. The AV8A, so it's the AV8A or the GR1. And there are some differences, but I'll just show you that because I need to put the box back together to explain this. It's very easy with lift-top boxes to forget to look under the box. Nature of the beast. So you get the Mark 1 Harrier GR1 or the AV8A. Now it doesn't say that, it just says, it doesn't say AV8A, but it is, and it has the big aerial on the back, which I'm pretty sure is included in the kit. So it's not the clearest in the way it's actually using the nomenclature for the different models. Actually, it's a little bit confusing because there were differences, and the Americans had this different radio setting. So let's have a look at the kit, and then we'll crack on and you can have a look at the plastic and the instructions as well. So let us see. I do like that lift off, but it just feels something more special. Got our beautiful, typical Matchbox ubiquitous stand, posable stand, as you can see in the background there, of course. Here it is, complete with the bowl and cup, so you can have it in flight at any angle you want. Then we've got our chocolate brown sprue. We've got instructions and another one that looks like it was printed yesterday. Fantastic looking instructions. And then we've got our dog dirt brown, as I call it. Very unpleasant colour indeed. It's really not very nice. And I was right what I was saying about the Harrier AV8A, because if you look here, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here slightly, but just look here, you can see the aerial right there. That's the aerial that goes on the spine for the different radio transmitters that the GR1 does not use. Okay, so that's just to prove the point really. Anyway, we'll put the dog dirt brown to one side. We'll have a look at these little tiny parts. We've got the little... I'm going to have to move the Harrier now, aren't I? Because it's in the way. We've got the little canopy, which is very nice. Absolutely great. We've got some decals which look pretty much okay, to be honest. I think they look fine. Look at that. They're nice, aren't they? So there's your British and Marine Corps markings, and it says here that the Harrier is the world's first vertical takeoff combat aircraft to enter service in any air force, and originates from a design study carried out with the Hawker Project Office in 1957. Gosh. After some preliminary work, the P1127 design was produced and received support from the American Mutual Weapons Development Programme and NATO. Eventually it was ordered for a multinational squadron supported by the United States, the UK and German governments. The first RAF Harrier squadrons were formed in 1969 because the Germans pulled out. But anyway. The machine became famous when it won the Daily Mail Transatlantic Air Race in 1969, and a number have been sold to the USA. Well, the USA developed their own and evolved it, and have been using it right up until I think last year, was it? Brilliant. It's a brilliant aircraft. It's absolutely phenomenal, and so much. It requires a lot of skill from the pilot, the Harrier, a lot of skill. It's not like the F-35, which does it all for you via computers. This is something like flying a helicopter in some respects. So you have to have the very most skilled pilots to fly it. People like Dave Morgan, of course, who were in the Falklands. He flew the GR1 and the Sea Harrier. Anyway, on the back, because this is absolutely Generation 1 instructions, so I'll just zoom you in for this, you can see just how nice they look actually. Look at the print quality and the colours. Isn't that nice? So this is my absolute premium Harrier example. I've got 6 of them, I think. 6, 7? Can't remember. Quite a few. The hot hints. This is the original way they used to show the sort of recommendations for using glue and all that stuff. And don't forget that obviously they've given you the small parts, data and detail is all here. So that means they don't have to put as much on the instructions anyway. Anyway, here we go. So it's the usual thing really. No surprises here. Very rudimentary seat, the pilot going in it, and you've got your 2 sides of the fuselage going in, but it's warning you here to cut out some holes. That's what it's telling you to do, not to glue it yet. And then you've got to get this rather complicated, especially if you're a beginner, nozzle system, which does actually work. I don't know if mine still turns. Did I check that? Let me just have a look in a minute. Do they still move? They do! Yes, they move. They move. So that's good. So I've got movable nozzles. And yeah, there's a lot of do not glue, and you've got to be careful what you're doing. It's a little bit complex actually. So it's not really for beginners. I seem to remember making a right botch of it the first time, as it was one of my first ever Matchbox kits. But anyway, then you're putting on your intakes and your canopy and your nose, complete with pitot, though I'd leave that off until the end if I were you. You've got your horizontal stabiliser, stroke elevators, wings going on here, then your gear, and then it shows you. Sorry, I just make a point here because they've made a mistake, haven't they? Really, it shows that 27. That 27 part there, that does not go on the British version. That is only for the American Aviate. So they should have said that. That's a slight error from Matchbox there. And then you've got your gear going in, main gear, and then you've got all the ancillaries. So you've got all your outrigger wheels, retracting undercarriage wheels. You've got your main gear, front nose gear going in, and you've got your bombs and Matra sneb rocket pods as well. You've got option of you can have bombs and rocket pods as per I've got here. I've got bombs and rockets, as you can see. And then finally, if you want to have it in the retracted position and have it on the stand, which you can with Matchbox, you just have to put your gear doors in and have the wheels well away, as I indeed have done myself. So nice to have a plane in flight, isn't it? I do like that actually, one thing I like about it. There we go. So let's have a look at what we got then. In terms of the plastic, we'll start. We've seen the canopy already, but we'll have a look at the dog dirt brown first, which is the main fuselage. And it's got a two-sided tail. It's a bit trenchy in terms of the panel line detail, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. The shaping looks quite good for the GR1. Apart from these Matra, they're too long and thin. They look sort of elongated, the Matra rocket noses, the rocket pod nose. A bit wrong that. Anyway, apart from that, it looks alright. And then of course you've got your pilot here, and you got your main gear. And then over here you've got your big beefy nose wheel gear. Got your intakes with the open doors. Over on the other side you've got your obviously there's no tail on this side because it's like a two-sided tail, as you can see. It's got a finish on both sides of the tail there. And then you got your fish plates, protector heat plates behind the nozzles. And then just your skids. Well, they're actually strakes for helping direct the jet blast down. That's that one, and then we've got the more normal brown, shall we say, chocolate brown. So we've got the wings all in one piece, complete wing. You don't have to put two halves together, which is good. And you got your horizontal stabilisers, and then they give you the outrigger wheels in two options, obviously, because you might have it in flight. So this is the in-flight one here, and this is the extended one here for gear down. Pylons. Your bombs, the £500 bombs, aren't they? You've got your Pegasus engine intake, compressor blades there. You got this rather strange looking seat, and then you got your vectoring nozzles for the engine exhaust, so to speak. Well, one's exhaust at the back, isn't it, and the front's just cold there. And then we've got the rocket pods here, the actual body of the pod. And that's really it, to be honest. But it's a nice kit. It is a little bit complicated though because of this. You've got all the I should have explained what looks like washers at the bottom right. Of course, these are the plates on the other side for rotating, getting the nozzles to rotate. So that's the one thing about the kit that makes it a little bit of a challenge, is the fact that it's got this quite complicated system for rotating the nozzles. So it may not be the best kit for the beginner, so it probably explains why I made such a mess of it the first time I did it in '73, I think it was, summer of '73. You've got to have an excuse of some sort, haven't you? Probably shocking everybody, showing how old I am now. Yes, I was making models in the summer of '73, folks. Indeed, I was. There you go, isn't it nice? It's a lovely little. I love the boxing of it, though. I love the boxing. Look at that, isn't that a nice one? And then, last but not least, today we've got the Chaffee tank. Now this is another favourite of mine. I did this as a little bit of a tribute to George Segal, who died a year or two ago. And it's, of course, it's used in the bridge at Remagen film. So I have my Remagen bridge sign here. I've got my little Chaffee tank, and we've got the abandoned German a little bit of a dugout. The Germans are having a defensive position here. And if I just remove my Chaffee for a second, you can actually see in the dugout, if you look very closely, you can see there's an MG34 in there. MG34, MG43? MG34, I think it is. There's an MG34 that's been abandoned amongst all the sandbags. So there you go. So that is my little Chaffee tank. It's a light tank, high performance tank. Now I'm afraid, I think I'm going to disappoint you with this one because I don't think I have one that's unsealed, so I'm not going to open a sealed box. But this is the kit. Here we go, that's the one. M24 Chaffee. And this is one of the later boxings from 1983. And it also has a Sanlo option for the sign, of course. The Remagen bridge one, I created that myself. As I say, I'm sorry, I can't actually show you the inside of this one, so you'll have to use your imagination, but needless to say, it's easy to build, very quick. I built that in a weekend for Matchbox March in 2021, I think. So that's what, 4 years ago now. there you have it. So it comes with that diorama, and you get two options. You get the 12th Armoured Division in France, February 1945, charging towards Germany, or the 13th Armoured Division in Germany in April 45. Because these only came in at around Christmas 1944, first appeared. So sorry, I can't give you any more detail on that to actually show you the inside of the kit, because I'd have to unseal it. I've actually got two of them. Let me show you that. Oh, wait! Stop! Hold the phone. I have good news. Didn't realise I got this seal on, but I opened the end deliberately so I could do a review. I got that. So that one can move over there. We can. You will go to the ball, Cinderella. You will. Because it's open, I can actually get into it. Oh, there's no reason not to. Yes, it's open completely at the end. Oh, isn't that a treat for you? Oh, okay. So, I'll have to be quick here because I'm a bit short on time. Right, here we go. So here's our bombed out dugout position, German defensive position in the diorama. Here. Really nicely done actually, with these sort of shell holes. You've got your main top of the tank deck there, all in one piece, complete with the moulded in grills over the engine. You've got your lower hull here, and here is here's your main turret. It's a bit like a Sherman, isn't it? But it's a bit lower lying. That was not as tall as a Sherman. And there's your sort of fenders here to the side, protect the track protectors, shell deflectors on it. Here is the roadway that it sits on, that you've just seen on my version over here. There's the road, there's the road. Roadway complete with all the tank tracks on it. And then you've just got basically the sides, very nicely moulded actually, all the sides of your hull, complete with all the torsion bars. And then of course, turn it over this side, pleasing to see. And you've got all of your wheels and your idle and drive rollers, sprockets. You've got your sandbags here. There's a couple more over here, sandbags. And there's your drive wheels, drive sprockets. And there is your sign, which you can put on what you want. Remagen, Sanlo, whatever. As I say, there is actually a decal for that, which says, can you see that? Paris, Sanlo that way, Cherbourg that way. So this is probably actually it. Carentan. Carteret Carentan. So I reckon this would be around Carentan, that this sign would be actually at the side of the road near Carentan town. That makes sense to me. We've got some rather dubious, I've got to tell you, rather dubious, we talked about this before, after the disaster I had snapping poor John Bevan's tracks. Well, these are like it actually. Again, they're very stiff. Not completely, but you're going to struggle a bit with these. All these metallised ones they did seem to go wrong over time. They don't like aging at all. And then finally, a little bit of an instruction book, which sadly, because it's a later iteration, it isn't purple. I think this kit came out about 79 for the first time actually. What number is it? 79. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's 76. The Chaffee was named after General Adana R. Chaffee and was first produced in April 44. Oh, April, okay. Didn't appear in theatre until the end of the year. A total of 4,070 were produced by June 1945 and saw action during the crossing of the Rhine and the final advance into Germany. Wow. During the Pacific Campaign and later in the Korean War against North Korean T-34 tanks, the Chaffee had a range of 100 miles. 100 miles? That's not much. Oh, that's not very good, is it? The Humber had 250 mile range, but anyway, that wasn't a tank. Doesn't sound a lot to me. And it's got a 25 mile. It could cruise at 25 miles an hour, the top speed of 34. So top speed's about the same as the T-34 tank, isn't it? Its main armament was 75mm turret-mounted gun, same as the German, and had storage of 48 rounds of 75mm shells. And here we have got the usual thing, really. So we've got our small parts painting guide, including the gun and machine gun. You've got your decal guide on the back, and then on the inside, in terms of very straightforward build this was. You just build up your hull, put all your road wheels on, put your tracks on here. Build the individual two sides of the wheels and the sprockets. Then you do your turret, and then again, annoyingly, this very large part of the kit, the diorama, has got this tiny bit of instruction box for some reason. And then you put that in there, and then finally, you see, it goes in a funny order. It goes round in a circle and finishes at 10. But anyway, you put your what's that, MG? It's an MG 50 cal, isn't it? 50 cal on the top turret, and put your turret hatch on. Add your lights, add your machine gun at the front, and then your fenders go on, and that's kind of it. Bring your top and main hulls together. Jobs are good enough, they say. Jobs are good enough. Now, one thing I didn't notice when I was looking at the parts, where was the machine gun then? Where was that? Oh, there it is. There it is. The German abandoned machine gun I'm talking about. There it is, just where my finger is. See it? I think it's an MG34, isn't it? Anyway. There we go. I didn't realise that. I was convinced because I saw it all wrapped up. I thought, well, I can't open it. But I remember I actually slit it, so I thought I'm going to... Because that one was a little bit less perfect. So I thought, why don't we just slit it open and enable us to do a review, which we duly did. So I'm glad you saw that in the end. It's a nice kit and it's very quick building. No nonsense, no messing about at all. Just a nice, easy build, really. So easy to get it back in the box that I can tell you. It's not very grippy cellophane on the outside. And those decals are in good condition, actually. So there we go. So that's the Chaffee. Unfortunately, that cellophane is actually preventing me shutting the box. Very much so. There we go. Chaffee M24. What a lovely thing. So I hope that was interesting for you. I hope you enjoyed seeing those. That was episode 4. Matchbox March. I'm getting punch drunk with it now. Coming soon, of course. The others that I promised you, which are, of course, we've got some aeroplanes and some lovely tanks. We're still only on the purple range, yeah. So we've got some. Although I did show you the Corsair, didn't I? That was orange range. I've got the beautiful ME262 to come, which is fantastic. Again, another mint one, the ME109E, BF109E, Battle of Britain and North Africa spec. We've got the Vespi, North Africa again, and we've also got the Panther to show you. So that's going to be in episode 5. Hope you'll tune in for that. Put my Harrier back over there. In the meantime, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you found it interesting. Give us a like if you wouldn't mind. Hope you're enjoying the sort of Matchbox March festival, and I hope you're not taking part in this pagan festival of building them, because I get very upset about that. They are the precious kits. You can't just build one of those. I mean, look at that. It's mint. It looks like it's just come from the factory. It's yeah, they both are actually. I've got quite a lot that are like that. You know, you can't just consign them to history because they're never coming back. You know, I mean, leave them to somebody that will appreciate it. Me! Of course! It's all a plot to get you to sign away in your will, leave me all your Matchbox kits. What a good idea. Trouble is, who am I going to leave them to? Oops. Anyway, yes, don't if you want to build one of these, by all means do. There's ways of doing it that don't incur the wrath of the Matchbox gods, i.e. me, by, going the Revell route. A lot of them are available through Revell in the more modern day iterations, so that is the way to keep your soul purged of evil. Okay. Anyway, until next time, I better go, and we'll catch up with you very soon with these other ones I've promised you. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, stay well, stay safe. Thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, bye for now.